thank you again for having me here today. It is always such a pleasure to come here. I have maybe or maybe not had scuffles with people over who gets to come and do this program. And as you can see, I'm quite the scrapper. So my name is Katie, and I am a naturalist at Outdoor Discovery Center. Now, a lot of people hear that and they go, I have no idea what a naturalist is. And they start trying to make guesses, so I'll make it easy. My job is to help people go outdoors and discover what is out there in nature. We're in a box today, okay. We are inside today because sometimes I bring the nature to people. This is great because a lot of times when we go out into nature, we see beautiful sights, we see all sorts of animals and plants, funguses if we're lucky, but there are oftentimes a lot of creatures that we don't get to see when we go outside because, quite frankly, they're doing exactly what they should be doing, which is hiding from possible predators. And if you may notice, we have these great big eyes in the front of our face, wonderfully strong teeth, and of course, opposable thumbs, the scariest of all. So a lot of the times the animals out there, they don't tend to get too close to humans. So we might not know all of our animal neighbors. There are quite a few animals that live out here in Michigan who we may never get the chance to see in person, or if we do, it is one of those brilliant, beautiful moments that we hold on to the rest of our lives. So we have some of our animals here who come out to see people so we can know our neighbors even if we don't get to see them outside all the time. Now, our animal ambassadors, some of them come to us because they are injured and need a little extra help. Some come to us for the explicit purpose of helping people to learn about their species. Some are here for a short time, some for the rest of their lives. And I'll tell you a little bit about each one as they come out. These are all animals that do live here in Michigan. And the thing is, when I was told, okay, go and run a Michigan animals program, that leaves the door wide open for so many options, which is great because I want to be able to choose all of the animals who I work with. I can't choose them all. I don't have a van big enough. I'm very sorry. But when choosing which ones to bring today, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how we have this great tradition here about state animals. Has anyone heard of that whole concept of having like a state bird or a state mammal? We actually have, in different states, different requirements, different ones that are recognized or not. Most of these states, I think all of them have a bird at this point, but I believe we're going to start with one that not everyone has. In a moment here, I would like to bring out our state reptile. Now, you may be asking, why do we have a state reptile? And the answer is, quite frankly, because people like it. We get state animals like that to get a little bit of state pride, a little bit of joy, and here's something that lives in our state that's really cool. Sometimes it's something that is very limited to our little biome, just here in Michigan or right around. A lot of the times it's something you can see practically anywhere in the state of Michigan, so every Michigander can feel attached to it. Hello. Now, this first one who comes out may be familiar to those of you who have been out near a pond or a river or a stream. When you see him, please feel free to say hello. He really prefers a one-finger wave. Keeps it nice and calm for him. And if you see it and you go, oh my goodness, that's amazing, I want to see it forever, ah! That might be a little intimidating. So when our animals come out, I like to have all the folks, young and old, do something a little special. I give them a ooh. Ah. All right, it's silly, but it works because it lets us express how excited we are without terrifying my animals. Understood? Good, I appreciate y'all. All right, so we're gonna go give them a ooh, ah. See, now it's an audience participation show. Very good. So our first friend who is about to come out here is Michigan's state reptile. And a lot of the times, this is the animal that confuses people. If you ask anyone above about 4th grade, maybe 5th grade, if this animal is a reptile or an amphibian, they're not certain because it's scaly, but it tends to be pretty wet and it confuses people. And 4th and 5th graders know the best for this one. Let's bring him out so we can say hello. All right, let's give him a ooh, ah. Now I know what you're thinking. It is not a box turtle, even though he's in a box. One moment. I'm gonna pull our friend out of his little container here so we can see him a little bit closer. Hello, good please give a warm welcome to my friend, the painted turtle. Ooh, very nicely done. We learned fast. This is my friend, the painted turtle, our state reptile. Now, this is one of the ones where it was chosen because you can find this guy all over, like everywhere, right? In fact, give me a wiggle if you've seen one of these friends today, or even in the past like 6 weeks here now that it's summertime. Ever. A lot of us get a chance to see them at least some point during our lives. If we're lucky, we get to see them every summer. If you are ever out on the water here, if you are by a pond, a river, a stream, a creek, a particularly ambitious friend maybe down at the lake, these friends will be out and about. Now I'm going to bring them around a little bit so everyone gets to see a little bit closer. And in fact, because I trust y'all, if you would like, as I bring him around, if you would like, I will let you pet him right on the back of the shell there. He does not mind this. Now, you can't really feel it like we feel it on our arms and our legs. It's kind of more similar to how you can feel someone playing with your hair, those of us who have enough of that to go with that. This guy here, he can feel that just a little bit because his shell is actually made of bone. And we'll look into that a little bit more in just a moment here, but I'll come weaving around, don't you worry. Now, our friend painted turtle, they are semi-aquatic. They spend most of their life in the water. They do come up to sun themselves because, like all of our reptilian friends, they are cold-blooded, ectothermic, if you want to get that good, nice science word in there today. Now, what that means is no matter how hard they try, they do not make their own heat. If they want to stay warm, putting on a coat will not do anything for them. They have to go under a nice patch of sunlight or onto a hot rock, or in the case of the ones who live with us, under a nice heat lamp. Oh, and he's giving you the eye. He's watching you close.
Hello, I'm not touching you.
No worries. Now, because they are ectothermic, he's very sweet. As they are out and about during the day, they will warm up under the hot sun, and that gives them enough warmth to get moving about their day. But you might notice that Michigan is not always warm. It sometimes is awful cold here. And people tend to ask, well, where do these turtles go? Where are they hiding? And in fact, a lot of the times, what we don't see is that they are hibernating. Our turtles are actually far better hibernators than, say, we think of like a bear for hibernation. Not a true hibernator. Do not let yourself be confused. They wake up quite a bit. Unlike our turtle friend here, who will sleep the entire winter through. Their body temperature goes down quite a bit. Their heart rate goes down, so it barely seems like they are alive. Nicely done. But they spend their entire winter sleeping and ready for spring. Nice. Hey, good to see you again.
Hello.
Now, you may also notice that my friend here has some pretty impressive nails on his front little hands there. He has some really impressive claws. This is great for a few reasons. One, if he ever wants to be out and about. This one, yes. This one we can tell because of those claws, actually. You see, when a boy painted turtle wants to prove that he is the most handsome turtle in the bunch, he is, in fact, the bachelor. He takes his big fancy claws and he will swim out in front of a lady turtle. He will put those nails right in front of her. And in the best way he can, he will go, "I'm very handsome." Is it working? See, you told me this would work. For our turtles, those long claws in front work as a way to show that they are very, very handsome. And not just handsome, it shows that they can get enough food to grow really long claws. And that they are fast enough to swim away from predators and stay away from them, even if their claws might get stuck on something. And you might notice, he can pull his legs in a little bit, good job, but those claws stick out a bit. So the longer the claws, the easier it should be for a predator to grab on and take a little munch. So if he shows he has long claws, he's showing I'm not afraid of any predator. I can get away from them. I don't have to worry about that because I am the most eligible bachelor here. Thus, still not working? That's okay.
It's beginning to.
Yes.
What is his name?
Oh, such a good question. My friend here has asked, what is his name? I have news for you that will probably disappoint you for a moment, but then you'll actually think it's kind of cool. So he does not have a name. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they go, oh, that's disappointing. And it might feel like that because we're humans, right? We look at each other and we give each other names. Even if we don't know each other, we'll give each other nicknames. But for our turtles, they don't really have that same concept. As far as we can tell, turtle society does not include any naming things. There are some animals that have ways to know each other. For turtles, they don't seem to have that same style of naming. Now, part of the reason we do not name them is, one, because that's just not part of their culture, but also because if I were to name him something like Fluffy, Fido, one, terrible names for a turtle. But on top of that, it would seem like this is my pet, right? And as much as I do love him and we take care of him and a lot of the things that people with pets tend to do, he is actually my coworker. If any of you have ever given your coworker a nickname, you know that that's not always the kindest thing to do. And on top of that, by giving him just the name of painted turtle, I am helping people to learn, oh, this is about this species. If I just named him Fluffy, for example, people would remember all of these cool things about Fluffy the turtle, but they might not connect it to other painted turtles they are seeing in the wild. So part of the reason we choose not to name most of our animals is so that people get to know the idea as a species. We call our little friends here ambassadors. So they are coming from a whole nother species to try to tell us all about their species and get us connected with them. So this guy, he is representative of all the painted turtles. It's a very big job. He's doing a good job. Now,
How big do they get?
how big do they get? Oh, I love that question. Not too much bigger than this, honestly. Like, he might get a little bit bigger. Now, you may see some turtles that look very similar to him, but about yay big out there. Anyone seen one like that? There you go. We are very, very much in an area where you will not only see painted turtles like this, but you will see a much bigger friend called the red-eared slider, which it's a nice turtle name. Very descriptive. They slide into the water. They've got red right behind where their ears would be. Very nice, right? I love our red-eared slider. We have one who works with us. They're actually heavily invasive in this area. What happens is people say, I want a pet turtle. And they get a pet turtle. And then they decide, oh no, turtles smell really bad. And then suddenly they don't want a pet turtle anymore. And unlike a lot of other animals that are easy to say, hey, does someone want a this or a that? There are not a lot of people who want a pet turtle. So a lot of the times those sliders end up in ponds. Now, the sliders sometimes are okay. They usually do all right. But they're about twice the size of my painted turtle here. They eat a lot of the same things. So it leads to a lot of our native turtle species getting kind of pushed out and not having as much food around them. Now, don't worry, painted turtles are still doing very, very well. They are prolific. You can see them just about anywhere. But it is getting a little bit tricky for some of our other species. So my recommendation, if you ever want a pet turtle, number one, find a place to volunteer with turtles first and figure out exactly how bad they smell, because it's really bad. Like, I love them, but they're very stinky. And two, if you would like to get a pet turtle, do your research first. Make sure that you are getting a species that will do well with you. Make sure you have everything you will need. And of course, that you have a plan in case there is some situation where you can no longer care for that turtle. That way we don't end up with friends eating all this guy's food. Though you would do pretty well, I'm pretty sure. I have seen you in our tanks, and you are ferocious. Now, we feed them a variety of things at Outdoor Discovery Center. We do have, of course, your classic turtle pellets, nice variety of vitamins and minerals that have been specially concocted just for these friends. But they also get some good leaves, lots of lettuce, things like that. They are omnivores, so besides that, they also like to eat a lot of mealworms. They love to eat bugs. So anytime we can get them a bug to eat, be it some mealworms that we keep at our site, or if we are able to get some nice little worms from the ground, some nice earthworms for them, they love one of those. It's a nice variety for them. Now he's doing such a good job showing off those beautiful painted colors on him. If you see these friends out in the wild, they may have slightly different colorations on them. They may have a little more orange, a little more yellow, even a little hints of red, depending on where you find them. Each one is a little bit unique, but you can always still tell that they will have their shell fully attached. And I hate to do this to us. How many of us have seen those cartoons where there is a turtle who hops out of their shell and goes, "Oh no, I'm naked, ah!" How many of us? Yeah? Possibly? I have terrible news for you. The cartoons lied to you. They can't do that. Our turtles will always have, you know already? Nice!
I've seen this total, they can't see the total shell.
You've seen just the shell?
Total inside.
What happened to the turtle?
I don't know.
We don't know. There was a turtle in the shell, but no longer. Well, this guy will stay in his shell his entire life. The shell will grow with him because the shell is part of their bone structure. So this whole thing is actually made out of bone. Now, obviously, this is not from a painted turtle. This would be really big. This one's actually from a common snapping turtle. So the biggest kind that we see around here. And if you ever hear someone saying we have an alligator snapping turtle, that's like the size of a kiddie pool. It shouldn't be here. Yes.
Why is the shell off the snapping turtle? What happened to said snapping turtle?
I love these questions, my friend. What happened to the snapping turtle that it is not attached to its shell anymore? Well, to be frank, this comes from a snapping turtle who died a long while ago. But,
Thank you.
of course, you were probably wondering, where's the rest of the turtle?
I'm like, I don't want the turtle to be like dead before it should be.
No, this one is from a while back. This shell is probably older than you are. Now you can see, I love bringing this shell because you can spy the spine inside. Shells are connected to their turtles by the vertebrae in there.
So they don't molt?
They do not. They do molt parts of their scales on top. The very outside, instead of having just plain bone on the outside, has a layer of special scales that have a wonderful word for them. They're called scutes, which is just a good word. Like someone put that on a Scrabble board immediately. But you can see it attaches all the way down there, so the turtle cannot come out. The shell must grow with them, which makes sense because this is a full-size snapping turtle.
The turtle.
Would you like to give him a pat on the back? Of course, I know a few of our friends got here just a couple minutes ago.
Can I touch them?
Wow. He finds that a little scary, but thank you for asking.
I've touched a pancake turtle. They're so cute. I've held a newborn hatched one of them.
Yes, my friend.
It's okay, I'll be fine.
I appreciate you double checking, and thank you for looking out for your mama.
You want to see? Like this.
Now, we have a common snapping turtle who we are taking care of right now. We actually have two, and they are just about yay big around. So they start out really, really small. Don't you worry, we will be releasing them before they get to this size. That is a little bit more than I think we would be able to safely care for. Now, we keep those little turtles so people can get to know them, get to see what's interesting about them before they go back out into the ponds. Most of the time, our turtles do not get too socialized with humans that they can't go back to eating out in the wild, which works very well. Now, we do have a few who live with us because they are injured in some way, and those are ones who we will take care of the rest of their lives. If you do find a turtle who needs help, first off, has anyone ever seen one on the road trying to cross? My strong recommendation is if you can help it to cross the road in the direction it's going, that is a huge help because turtles know exactly where they're going. They know exactly why they want to be there, and they are determined little things. If you put them back on the side they were not going to, the side they were coming from, they will say, I'm going again. And they will keep trying to get across the road. So if you ever see one there, please try to help it get to where it is heading to next. They have an idea of a pond they are heading to. Their instincts know exactly where to send them. And of course, with these little friends, yeah, no. They will tell you if they are nervous by putting their head in, so sometimes that can help to scoot them along nice and easy. As you can see, he's doing pretty well. You have not made him too nervous. Well done, predators. Yes?
Has this turtle been injured or not?
A very good question. This one has not. There is every chance that as this turtle gets older, we may release this turtle, especially if we get a younger one in or one who is injured who needs more care. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Yes?
How do you tell a female?
Ooh, very good question. So, combination of the nails will be much shorter and the shell will be ever so differently shaped. The males tend to have a little bit more of a curve to the bottom of their shell. The females tend to be a little bit flatter. And this depends on turtle species as well. Some of them have different coloration. Some of them have even more difference in shell shape. A lot of them, it does have to do with what you're seeing right here. But that's a really fabulous question. Nicely done, my friend. There's not a very obvious way to search other things, if you will. Turtles are a little more complicated. Now, I'm going to start putting this guy back in a moment here. Does anyone have any last questions for Turtle while I start putting him away? Yes?
Do you see any snakes?
So, I didn't bring any with me, but that does not mean you will not see any snakes. It just means the chance is much lower. Okay? There you go. There you go. All right. Whoop. There we go. I think we're all good. I have a friend behind my back who I'm about to bring out. He's going to be in his enclosure for part of the time and out of his enclosure for part of the time. This is for two reasons. One, he likes to move and he's a little bit faster than a turtle. Number two, some people like to see a part of his body that can only be seen when he has his toes whoop, right up against the glass. Yes?
Okay, that explains why he's in the bottom. But why is the bottom of his enclosure?
A fabulous question. These are actually not their full enclosures. These are what I call their car seats. So if you think about a car seat, it's pretty small and snug, right? But you want that. If you have a really big car seat and say a little toddler or a baby or someone is sitting in that and is rolling around, is that safe? No. For our animals, we put them when they are traveling in car seats that are small enough that as we're walking or driving down the road, if they roll a little bit, they're going to be okay. But when they go back to Outdoor Discovery Center, they have much bigger enclosures with lots of spaces for them to look around and smell and find food. Thank you for the question. I appreciate you looking out for them.
Animals in bottles, too.
Yes.
Animals will not be happy.
I'm going to put you in charge of keeping everyone straight on that, okay? Good. Now our next friend is not yet Michigan State Amphibian. And I say yet because there was a bill put in apparently in about 2020, so it might be backed up a little bit, but we can hope, to make this the Michigan State Amphibian. May I please introduce you to the gray tree frog. Hello. Now, I'm going to bring him around in the glass for a moment so that everyone can get a bit of a look. And I'll see if I can move his feet, because part of my favorite things about tree frogs are their toes. Now, I know. He says, it's too moist, I will not hold there. But he'll put his little toes up top for me. Tree frogs are really cool because unlike other toads and frogs and friends like this, who will start out their life in the pond and then usually stay around that pond, he likes to go up in the trees. Aren't those cute? Their little toes have little circle suction cups basically on the end there. So as he is climbing, he can stick right on. Now, he is very gray right now, but you will also see them in a beautiful green color as well. And he seems to be doing pretty well today. We have a few that when they get a little chillier, like on a rainy day like today, will start getting really sluggish and slow, much like myself, wanting a blanket and a cup of tea.
What makes the difference between the gray ones and the green ones?
An excellent question. They're actually pretty much exactly the same. It depends a little bit on their environment, and they can shift colors a little bit, which is delightful because if you're up in a tree, you are usually either by bark or leaves, right? So you want to be either probably gray or probably green. So it gives them a little bit of option for how, oh, he came right over for you.
Oh, yeah. We rescued one from a sailboat.
Oh, now, people always tell me, okay, it's a frog. Frogs go ribbit, ribbit, right? No, not in this case. Does anyone know what sound our friend the tree frog makes? All right, I'm going to do something a little bit obnoxious for a minute then. And my friend who has the headphones on, you may want to cover them for a minute. You ready? If you are ever outside on a warm summer day, especially late in the evening, you might hear this. Ready? Thank you. Now, I have gotten very good at this sound over the years because I grew up hearing it for quite a few years. You see, when I was younger, there was this mysterious mystery bird who was trapped somewhere at my parents' house, somewhere near the barn, and they could not figure out where this mystery bird was, but it was keeping my baby sister up at night, and that would not do. There we go.
Just stay put for a second.
Hello. And as my parents tried to figure out where this mystery bird was, this unusual creature making this huge racket every night, right when my sister is trying to sleep, and we all know what it's like trying to get the baby down. Eventually, they figured out that the sound was coming from the side of the barn closer to the water. And they tracked it down, and one day they eventually figured out that it was a frog. It was a tiny tree frog that was using a section of kind of a light fixture to amplify that noise extra loud. That tree frog was swiftly rehomed far away from the house. I have no idea if that tree frog was successful in finding a mate that year because we were a little bit busy trying to get it away from us. Now, I have a lot of fondness for these friends now, regardless of the fact that my father probably still hates them. Now with this friend here, I'm gonna try to bring him out for a moment, and I'm gonna see if he will show us how sticky those toes are. It is a little cold out today, so he may decide, no, I just wanna get really small, and that is okay, but we'll see if he will be so fabulous for us. Oh, he's trying. Hi, wanna come out? I know. Oh, we are excited about it. Hello. Now I've got him in my hands, and here's the thing. I made sure to rinse my hands very well before holding him. Amphibians are super cool because their skin is very porous. That's part of the reason why I keep a little bit of water in his jar, because he's not bringing in oxygen just from his lungs. He also brings in a little bit through the water that seeps in through his skin. Now this means that if I had a lot of soap on my hands from earlier, if I hadn't rinsed them very well, or if I had on sunscreen or fancy lotions, that would be going into his skin that helps him to soak up water. I kind of think of it similar to if you are, just walking around and all of a sudden you inhale a soap bubble out of nowhere. Pretty unpleasant, right? So I always make sure my hands are nice and well rinsed before holding an amphibian like this. Very good. Now, something very cool is I can tell this one is a boy because of his legs. You see, for this species, if he wants to do the old, hey, I'm very handsome trick, and I won't try it with this one, I'm not nearly so fancy, is he will show off his very yellow legs. Now let's see if he'll show them.
Oh, yes. I saw it.
Very good, buddy. So he's got those bright yellow legs, showing how beautiful he is, and showing that he is not afraid of predators because he will have the brightest, most yellow legs that a predator can see from a mile away and not be afraid of anything. So his whole act is to be a tough guy. I have terrible news for you. I don't think there are any girl frogs in the enclosures right now. Now, with those beautiful legs, you can see he's holding on pretty good. In fact, I can release my thumb and he's just hanging on. He has incredibly sticky toes. It feels kind of like, you remember those little wacky hands that you stick on a wall?
Yes.
It feels exactly like that, except slightly wet. Ooh. Now, because he has those great sticky toes, he can climb super well. He could climb all the way to the ceiling here, which is why I have to be cautious with him, because if he gets up there, I'm not getting him down.
I like him already.
I do too.
I really love how cute. I want to pet him, but I can't.
I know. With these guys, if you are ever out and you are frog catching, do me a favor. The best thing you can do is once you catch one, hang out with it for a while, tell it how cool it is, maybe like make it a cool little shelter, make sure you put it back after you're done. Wash your hands in between each frog. There is a fungus around here, it's called chytrid fungus, that has been actually, unfortunately, giving some diseases to our friends the frogs.
Fungus and fungus.
Uh-huh. Luckily, there are things we can do about this. There is a lot of research being done as to how to get rid of this chytrid fungus, how to prevent it from spreading. These friends here, the best thing we can do is if we catch one, just wash your hands before you catch another one, all right, friends? There's a lot of good research being done, and I have a lot of hope that these guys will be just fine very soon. In the meantime, if you hear one, well, that means you've got a good habitat nearby, and probably my dad, hoping that you're doing well soon. Oh, there's those legs. Oh, he really is. Now I'm going to start putting him back in his container in a moment here. Does anyone have any questions about our friend tree frog before he goes away? Now he's really cheesing for you.
Look at him.
Now you can see that throat going quite a bit. He probably also heard me calling earlier and is wondering who is in his territory.
Do the males and the females both make that sound?
They do, but at different volumes. For frogs, for the most part, most of the times it is the boys who are making the huge noises. In fact, there are some species of frog you can tell apart simply based on the size of their tympanum, which is a part of their body that helps them to make that huge sound. The ones with really big ones tend to be the males, and the ones with the small ones who don't have to yell quite as loud are the ladies. Yes?
Why do only some of them have sticky pads?
That's a really good question. For this one, he actually has a couple of injured toes. So he is missing a couple of his sticky pads. That's part of the reason why he is with us, is because he would have a little bit of a hard time. He can climb pretty well, all things considered, for missing 3 of the sticky toes on one of his feet. But he would have a little bit more of a hard time than some of his friends out in the wild. Yeah.
Was the frog that was at your house a male? 'Cause I think it probably was, because it was trying to amplify its voice. Or it might have just been curious, and then it used the noise and was like, oh, this amplifies my voice.
I think you are absolutely onto something there. I think it was almost definitely a male that was trying to be as loud as humanly possible or froggingly possible. And I think it did a very good job. Every frog in the neighborhood and some in the neighborhood next door heard it. Now I'm going to put him back in his car seat. There you go. There you go. Good job.
Do you know how he lost his suction cups?
Hmm?
Do you know how he lost his suction cups?
I'm not entirely certain. I do suspect something got trapped someplace. I do not know entirely though, but we're hoping that we can, keep an eye out for that, see if there's anyone going for just toe treats. My thoughts exactly. Now, I have 2 more friends I would like to bring out. The first one I'm going to bring out for a little while, and he may come back for a little bit at the very end if anyone wants any photos or things with him. But I'm going to bring one, then I'm going to get the other one out for a little while, and he may stay out for a little bit. Sound good?
Great.
Now with these ones, they tend to be a little more sound sensitive, and I can't just grab onto them and hold them like a little frog or a turtle. They're a little bit bigger. I'm very excited though. So we've seen Michigan's state reptile. We've seen something that could be Michigan state amphibian someday. I don't have a robin. That is Michigan state bird, but I have something that could eat a robin and often does. You see, a lot of our birds of prey that live here in Michigan. They tend to focus on little rodents, mice, voles, things like that. But I have a specialist here, a specialist in eating birds. And in fact, you may have seen this bird before if you have a bird feeder. You may have seen someone stalking your bird feeder nearby, waiting for the right moment when a little songbird isn't paying attention and then all of a sudden, eaten. Now, when this friend comes out, we'll give him that ooh, ah we've been giving our other friends. He is going to be on a leash, so he is attached to my glove. So he might flap his wings a little bit, but can he go anywhere? No, he can go about this far. That is not very far at all. Let's see how he's doing. You ready to come out and meet people? Your butt is to the group. My goodness. Turnabout. Thank you. All right, he is about to come on out. When he first comes out, give him that ooh and ah. I'm giving him a minute to sit over here just to make sure he, goes beforehand. He did go before we left, but that's never stopped him before. And if he does, I promise I will clean it up. Hi. Step up. Step up. Good bird. If you would like to give a one-finger wave, you may say hello to my friend the Cooper's hawk. Now, we're only going to be calling it Cooper's hawk for about another year or so here. There is actually a big change in naming of birds coming up soon. If you hear the name Cooper's hawk, does that give you any idea what kind of bird you're looking at? Good job. Nicely done right there. A+. Now it might be the pooper's hawk. I have to throw that joke when he does this, I must. So there's a huge change coming in the names of birds soon, at least common names used in the United States. Reason being, Cooper's hawk doesn't tell you anything other than it's a hawk. But there are lots of birds with descriptive names, like a red-tailed hawk or a red-shouldered hawk, that give you an idea of what you're about to see. Cooper's hawk is named after someone whose last name was Cooper. And while that is very cool, yes, Cooper? So my friend Cooper's hawk is incredibly nervous, but don't worry, one, that is okay. He always forgets that he's attached to me. He also forgets that he has a wing injury. So part of the reason why he is with us is because he has a wing injury. All of the birds who live with us are with us because they are what we call non-releasable. They have been evaluated by rehabilitators, special animal doctors who work with wildlife, and it's been determined that for one reason or another, they would not be safe to go back outside. Usually this is due to a body injury, things like a wing injury, a head injury, an eye injury, or a foot injury. All things needed for these friends to get out there and get their food. Now, he doesn't really understand that. He is still a wild animal, and his instincts tell him, I'm supposed to be out there. I'm supposed to be away from people. And if he were magically healed tomorrow, he would be outside. I would let him go and let him be and let him go out and hunt because that is where he should be. He shouldn't be with people. That isn't what he's supposed to be doing. But because he would no longer be able to live out there, this is the next best option. And at Outdoors Discovery Center, we work really hard to make sure that that next best option is as good as it can be. We make sure that our friends have big enclosures that they live in most of the time with space for them to have different perches to land on, things that will keep them entertained and engaged, little bits of enrichment to make their lives different every day. Of course, lots of food. They get fed every single day. And this friend here gets a nice variety of mice, rats, and chicks. Delicious for him. A little gross for the rest of us, but our refrigerator is incredibly well labeled. It's actually cleaner than mine. And, of course, all of this and all that they do in return is come out and meet all of the people so that we get to know what these birds look like up close and get to know them. Now, I say all that we do, like that's such a small thing, but for him, one, that's a huge amount of effort because he's in a room of predators, but it means a lot A lot of people will go their whole lives here in Michigan and may never get to see a Cooper's hawk, or certainly not one this close. So having him here lets people know, hey, this is one of my neighbors. And they might get to know what makes them special, how we can care for them, what things we can do to make their lives a little bit easier, just like we do for all of our neighbors. Now, my friend here, you'll see he's going to be watching extra close. Cooper's hawks are known for being very skittish, which makes sense. They tend to hunt birds, and a lot of the times they are hunting in areas where a lot of people tend to be, like at bird feeders. So if they hear something coming by, like maybe a person or even a raccoon that is also hungry at that bird feeder, they want to be able to notice it and get away very quickly. So they are very skittish, and that's not a bad thing, but it does mean he might flap a little bit, and that is okay. Now he's watching around. I might see if he's willing to walk a little bit so we can get a little bit of a view on him. You might notice his bright orange eyes, his beautiful gray cap. I hope that they rename him the gray-capped hawk. I don't know if it'll work, but I can dream. You might notice his beautiful talons on there. He has a little bit thinner toes than a lot of other hawks because it helps him to grab onto birds that are in mid-flight and hold on tight. Oh, he's doing beautiful. He's also got that gorgeous striped tail. If you ever see these friends in the wild, that's probably going to be what you notice, is that gorgeous striped tail. There are only a few hawks in the area that has that same kind of striping. And you'll notice he is a little bit falcon shaped. He is meant to be a little bit faster and a little bit easier to turn than some of the other hawks in the area that tend to be focused more on, brute strength. Oh, you're doing such a good job. Well done. Now you'll notice I'm talking to him the whole time as well. I'm talking, of course, here, but I always talk to him too. Our birds are very audial creatures. They love to hear what's going on, and they love to hear who is with them. So I'm with Cooper's hawk quite a bit. I do a lot of the animal care work at ODC, along with many of my other naturalist coworkers. And whenever we're in there, we are letting the birds know, hey, I'm here. This is what I sound like. This is how I move. So they get more comfortable with us. So eventually, he can sit right on my hand and go, okay, you're scary, but you're not as scary as all of these. He's doing such a great job.
Hi there.
Now you might notice he's got those nice leather bracelets on his feet. These are called anklets, and these are how we keep him attached to my glove. They are just like a little bracelet, not very tight or anything, just enough to keep them on his feet. And as he's walking around, he has little ropes attached to those that then attach to this leash and onto my glove. This is great because as much as I know that he has a broken wing, and somewhere in there I think he does know, his instincts when he gets nervous tell him fly away. And not only do I not want him flying away, he can't anyway, I want him to be safe. So the furthest he can go right now is about to here, as you saw.
How did you get the anklets on him? Did you have to sedate him?
So we did not have to sedate him. We actually just gave him some new bracelets the other day, some new anklets. When we do bird care, there are a few things we have to do besides feeding them, of course. Every now and then we have to do what's called a beak and talon trim day. We call it our spa day. They hate spa day. Our birds get lovingly wrapped up in a little blanket burrito, and then their nails and their beak are filed down slightly because in the wild, they would be using those to go hunting pretty much constantly. For every time that a bird like this goes hunting, only about 1 in every 10 times are they successful at getting food. So they're hunting for a lot of their time, which means if they miss something, they're grabbing onto a rock or a branch or something like that. Those talons start to wear down and away, and so does their beak. In captivity, that doesn't happen quite so often. So this friend here, he has to have those trimmed every now and then. And during our talon trims, we do an equipment inspection. So we look at their anklets, we look at the little jesses, those ropes coming off of those anklets, and make sure that they are in good condition. And if they're starting to get a little bit older, if the leather on there is starting to harden, if we notice anything unusual, we swap it out for a new pair. Now, all of this is done with all of us fabulous trained professionals. Now, here's the thing. We know that they are safe. We have a lot of training on our hands. We have a lot of experience. He will tell you that we are committing murder. he will be squeaking like this the entire time. Don't tell me you didn't do it. You've done it like 3 weeks ago. And he will do this every time, but that's a good thing. We want them to have those strong instincts that tell them that being wrapped in a blanket is not normal for a hawk. That is most unusual. So we think it's a very good thing that they have those strong instincts. Now, we try to make sure to do these things quickly and efficiently so that we give them the least amount of stress possible, and we do keep eyes out for any signs of stress as we are doing this, beyond the usual just squeaking. This is a way that we get to see how our birds are doing, but it's necessary because if you might imagine, if I want to do a veterinary check on this bird, and we have a wonderful veterinarian who works with us to make sure that all of our friends are nice and safe and happy. She has a lot of experience with our wonderful wilder animals. I have to be able to get the bird to the vet. And without being able to get the bird on a glove, that becomes very difficult. Yes? An excellent question. So, is this one a male or a female, and how can you tell? We believe this one is probably a female. We're not certain, but the reason we think it's a female is because she's pretty big. So for our birds of prey, the males tend to be a little bit smaller, and the females tend to be a little bit bigger. The females have to have a little more space for eggs, so they have to be a little bit sturdier, a little bit bigger. Now, there are only a couple of ways we'd be able to tell for certain. Most birds of prey don't have what we call sexual dimorphism, so the boys and the girls look different. So we can usually only ever tell if, one, we're doing some sort of a surgical procedure or other like major check to be able to look inside the bird, or if it lays an egg. That tends to clear a few things up.
That's pretty definitive.
That one usually is. Now, because this one has not laid an egg, but is also on the bigger side, we suspect she's probably a girl, but we don't know. And that's all right. We'll care for our birds just the same either way. The care doesn't really change that much between them. Hello. Oh, she's definitely interested in me right now, though. Hello. Now, this is a good thing. We want her focused and thinking this might be scarier than all of you. Yeah.
Personally would be like, if she laid an egg, I think it would be adorable.
Yes.
If it hatched, I would be like, basically, I honestly hope she lays an egg. It would be so cute.
It would be really cool. Now, if she laid an egg, it would be kind of like a chicken egg we get from the grocery store where there's no baby bird inside. We do have some of our birds every year who lay eggs. There's never any babies in them, but they do sometimes sit on those eggs because their instincts tell them, well, this is what I'm supposed to do next. We've even had a few that will make themselves a little nest. We even have one of our bald eagles, who is a boy, who every year makes a nest so that if there is a ladybird who comes along, he's ready. Yes?
What does a hawk's egg taste like?
That is such a good question. I don't know. Now, I suspect it would taste suspiciously chickeny, but I do know that different eggs do taste different depending on levels of like different nutrients inside of those. So I might do some research, not actually eating an egg, but see what kind of nutrients are inside. Maybe I'd be able to tell.
Not like that. She'd be angry.
She would be very mad at me. That is delightful. Excellent question. Yes?
Why do they eat other birds?
That's a really good question. Why do they eat other birds? Well, for them, a little bird like a songbird, it isn't like a hawk at all. It's kind of like if we look at, say, a cow. That doesn't look like a person, right?
No.
Very different. For a hawk like this, a little bird is kind of like what a cow looks like to us. Interesting. I could eat that. For this friend here, a little bird is a snack. It sells his instincts. Ooh, you should go and catch that, and you should go and eat it. They are very strong instinct creatures, so they know something looks like that, they should go and try to catch it. What do you think? Now, if you are out and about and you see these friends by your bird feeders, you are in excellent luck because that means they will likely come back quite a bit. They have very good knowledge of where good hunting grounds are, and they're here year round, so you will get to see them in the summer, the spring, the fall, and of course the winter time. That's an excellent time to spy them because all of the little birds tend to gather where there is food, and then our friend comes calling. Good job.
I'm from
Yes.
California, and we have Cooper's hawks too.
Nice.
What is their range? Are they all over the United States?
I don't think they cover the entirety, but they do cover like west coast to east coast. I believe there's a distance how far south they're willing to go, but I can look that up afterwards actually, because that's a really good question. And now I'm curious, because they may also have different subspecies in different areas too, or even just different plumages, different colorations. The ones you've seen a little bit like this guy?
I've never seen one this close before because I've only seen them in the
Oh.
wild, and I don't have a bird feeder because they attract skunks.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you get to see this guy closely. That's awesome.
beautiful.
You did such a good job.
We
Well,
have more red-tailed hawks than Cooper's hawk, so when we see a Cooper's hawk, it's exciting.
it's a special moment.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna take our last few questions here, and then I have one more friend who will come out. Let's see, 1 and then 2.
Are there any in Seattle?
You know, I would suspect so. Oh, no kidding.
Visiting.
Tell you what, if you guys go back there and you see some, you call back and you let me know, okay? Yes.
I've never actually seen one.
This your first time? Oh, that's so exciting. I get to be part of your first hawk day. Well, I'm gonna start putting him back in his car seat for the moment. Now, he is a bit of a silly one. Sometimes he likes going back in his car seat because it's nice and quiet for him. He thinks if you can't see him, he's all good. No one knows where he is. Don't tell him that you know. Okay? Now, he may flap around a little bit, and that is okay. Let's see how he feels. You ready? Wings. Good. Wings. Good. Step back. Good bird. And not a single honk. When he gets very upset, he honks like a little goose. Now I'm not going to stick my glove back on top of this because as you may remember, he left me a present. So I'm going to stick this right down here. If y'all see me go to put it up here later, I want you to stop me. All right, I have one last friend. So far, we have seen the Michigan State reptile. We have seen a possible future Michigan State amphibian. We have seen a friend who eats Michigan State bird because he does love to eat a robin. Here's the thing.
Wolverine.
I was trying so hard to get the Michigan State mammal, which I believe is in fact a white-tailed deer, but I do not have one of those, and the deer in my yard did not want to get in the car. So I would like to make a suggestion. For instead of just Michigan State mammal, that's fine, we want to get more specific. We want to see not just Michigan's, cool mammal, I want to bring you Michigan's marsupial. And I don't say state marsupial because it's not official yet, but this is the only marsupial here, so surely this counts. Now my friend is in her little car seat right now. I'm gonna put her car seat right here. And I'm gonna open her car seat door, and I'm going to let her come out and stand out here for a little bit. This is what makes her most comfortable right now, especially because it was very wet and stormy this morning, so she's feeling a little nervous. So she will get to come out and walk around. She'll be on the table for now. Here's the deal. I know that not everyone will be able to see her really close right away, so at the end we'll have a little bit of time where she can be out here and you can come and see her. Now, she does not like to be pet. She thinks that is terrifying and you are trying to eat her. If you try to pet my friend here, I will assume you are trying to eat her and will react accordingly. Okay? Glad we have an understanding. Come on out. Come on out. Now she might feel a little nervous, so I'm going to give her just a second to make her way out. Come on. I know. We're soaking wet.
Oh, it's a possum. Oh, my God.
Live animal shows, folks. There you go, sweetie. Oh, and she left me a good big poop. We love her. This is our friend opossum. She is a Virginia opossum. Now, when I say this is the Michigan marsupial, technically she's not just Michigan marsupial, she is the only marsupial on this entire continent. Now, long, long ago, there were lots of marsupials in one place, and one marsupial stayed in one location. The rest all went another way. They ended up eventually in Australia.
Yes.
This friend didn't get the memo. My friend, the Virginia opossum, is our marsupial, and when I say marsupial, what I mean is a mammal who has a pouch. Now, she's not going to be showing off her pouch today because I'm not going to force her to show that. However, you can tell she has one, and when she was very little, she loves to climb, she was about the size of a little jelly bean when she was first born in her mama's pouch. Now that little jelly bean crawled her way to find some place to get milk. And as she started growing, she eventually grew hair. She got very fuzzy and cute. And then eventually, she got out of her mama's pouch, still very small, and would ride around on mama's back. Now my friend here, who is recognizing that she is very messy because of the rain earlier and is doing a little cleaning, when she was riding around on mama's back or in mama's pouch, unfortunately one day something happened to mama. Now, many of the siblings survived. My friend here is a little bit what we call imprinted. That means she thinks that humans will give her food. And as you can see, she's very curious. She's not really afraid of people. Most opossums think people are terrifying. They see a room full of people and they try to back up. They try to show off their teeth. They try to give a little sound that's very scary. And most people look at that and are terrified because they have a lot of teeth. They've got like 52 teeth in there, I believe. It's a lot. Now, are they actually going to cause major harm? Not really. Their whole thing is they want to get away. They don't actually want to bite because then they are attached by the mouth to the thing that's scaring them. They want to show those teeth so that you don't go near them. Now, this friend here does not have that instinct. She does not really think that we are too scary. This is a problem if she wants to go back outside because she will just wander up to somebody and say, "Will you give me food?"
Please, I'm begging. She's begging.
How am I supposed to say no to this face? Now, she is an omnivore, so she will eat just about anything. She loves plants, she loves animals, she loves insects. She loves to eat it all. No.
I went out.
As you can see, she is very young. And she does have a semi-prehensile tail, which means that she can grab onto things a little bit, just like she was doing there. She cannot hang from it. All of those children's books, cartoons, greetings cards I've seen with them, with possums hanging upside down from their tail, are a lie. Which is really sad to me because it does look cute, but she can't actually do that. She can grab onto things while she's climbing down and hold a little bit, but think of it more like if you've seen a tightrope walker with a balancing beam to help keep them just ever so slightly balanced. Her tail works very much the same way. Now, as you can see, she's sniffing around because she's wondering where I put her food. And as I informed her, she already had breakfast this morning and she gets her snack when she's all done. Today for snack, she has a lovely set of some strawberries. And if she's good and doesn't cause me stress, she will get some extra little mouse. There you go. Darling, your feet are covered in grub. I can't let you out right now. Thank you, darling. She does eat mouse. She thinks that mouse and bird are delicious. As you can see, she's very curious. Come on down. This is a good thing though. We want her to have those good climbing instincts and we want her to be strong. Some of you may have been familiar with our last opossum who lived with us for quite a few years. When he left us, he was a very old man. He was 4.5, which is ancient for an opossum.
Oh, really?
Most opossums do not live very long. They live a couple of years at most. However, in captivity, they're able to live a good long while. Now, I'm going to put her in here real quick because she's being a silly girl. But if you would like, in a moment here, I will allow folks to come on up and see her a little bit closer. I knew I should have brought the taller one. And I'll put her out here so we can still see her little face. Now, our friend the opossum, this is about as far north as they go. This is about as far north as you are going to find them because, as you may have noticed, her little feet and her ears and her tail do not have fur on them. Now that means in the wintertime their life gets awful hard because they are very cold. And oftentimes they do suffer from things like frostbite. That's part of the reason they do not live very long up here is winters are really, really hard on them. Many of them do not make it past that first winter. And the ones that do don't see many more. So having her here during the winter time, we actually have an indoor space for her. So she is nice and very, very warm, which is great because she's very cute. And that means I get to go see her and be warm for a little bit. But it also means that she will live a significantly longer life with us. We are hoping that she will be with us until she is 3 or 4, even 5 years old if we're really, truly lucky. Most of them only make it to 1 or 2 years old, so this is a really big thing for her.
Is she not releasable because she's imprinted?
Yes. If we put her outside, she would be in someone's garbage can, in someone's garage, sniffing up by someone's dog going, "Will you feed me?" And most people have a really negative reaction to these friends. It's starting to get better. People are starting to think opossums are really cool, which I really appreciate because for a long while, most people's reaction to seeing a friend like this was, "I hate it, I'm scared, I must get rid of it." And when an animal is sniffing near your food or near your pets, that is a normal reaction to have at first, but for these friends, it leads to some really difficult situations. They might have their babies with them and not be able to say that because they're an opossum. They can't say words. They might be just trying to find a warm place to sleep and your garage is the best place for that. They don't necessarily have that understanding that there are human spaces and animal spaces. They're just looking for their next meal, their warm place to go. They're just trying their best. Yes?
They don't carry rabies, is that correct?
No. That's actually my favorite thing about opossums. Out of all of the mammals in Michigan, this is the friend you do not have to worry about rabies with. Their body temperature is too low to carry the virus that carries rabies. In fact, they are pretty much the only one that I know of in this state where there is no chance that they would have it, which is great because when they look at you with all their teeth, the intimidation factor is there, but you don't have to worry about if it's rabid, things like that.
Yeah, they're not going to give your dog away.
No. They are going to scare your dog for a minute, but just a little.
How
You're doing great.
old, are they when they have their first litter? And do they have more than one litter?
It depends. Very good question. I believe most of the time they are still under a year old when they have their first litter. Not like super below it, like it's not like 2 months out or anything, but I believe it's usually 1 litter a year, but I'll have to double check on that. I appreciate the ask. I do know they can have up to about 13 babies at once, which for any of you who have children, a moment of silence please for all the opossum mamas. And they will have them riding around on their backs once they're big enough, carrying them along, making sure that they get big enough to go out on their own before they are, ready.
And what is the gestation period?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. I appreciate these
And
questions.
It's got to be pretty quick.
Yes.
If they're just little jelly beans.
So the full gestational period is significantly shorter than one of your more standard mammals, and they spend a lot more time growing while they're in that pouch. They've been born, but there's just a naked little jelly bean for a little bit, which is a little bit different than how most of our mammals have done it. You'll notice there are only a handful of marsupials in the world versus all of the other mammals, which it appears that strategy tends to work in more places than the marsupial strategy. But then again, they seem to make it work just fine. Yes?
Are her paws similar to a raccoon's?
Very.
She had more
She has 5 little ones right there. She can grab a little bit, kind of like a raccoon. Having them so naked means that she does tend to use them quite a bit for grabbing onto things. And in fact, when she has her breakfast, she will find her favorite piece of it, pick it up, and sit right back on her haunches to bring the food straight up to her face, which is very cute most of the time, but does occasionally cause a bit of a problem because she will knock her food bowl over to do this. Yes.
So, how did she end up imprinting on you?
It's a good question. Well, when her mama was hurt, all of the babies were brought into a rehabilitator. That is our special wildlife doctor who helps to get animals back out to the wild if they can. But one of the things that's always a possibility is that one of the animals figures out, hey, this human is giving me food. And that's what makes them imprinted. A lot of rehabilitators do a lot of really interesting techniques to try to get animals to not associate the food with the person. They'll either not look at the animal while they're giving them their food. Some of them will even put on silly things like I have seen bird rehabilitators use little bird puppets to feed the birds. All of these techniques keep getting better and better, so hopefully we'll have fewer and fewer imprinted animals. But in the meantime, I am glad that she's here because it means more people can get to learn about them. So as much as I would prefer her to be outside with all of her siblings, she's doing okay.
Did the mom survive and what happened to said mom?
So I don't know what happened to her originally, but unfortunately she did not survive. If she had been okay and been able to go back out and take care of her babies, oh, we would have let her go. But unfortunately, she did not have that luxury. It's a little sad, but it makes me happy there are people who are trying to help out and someone who saw that and said, I can help here. I can call somebody and get these other little baby animals some help. That's a really good thing. Let's see, 1 and then 2.
All those babies are in one pouch, they don't have individual pouches.
Just one big
How
pouch.
many teeth does she have in that pouch, do you know?
I believe there's about 12, which means the 13th baby sometimes has to fight its way in there. But I have not looked inside a pouch recently, so we could check, but I don't think you would like it. Let's see, I had 1 and then 2 and then 3. Yes.
How can you tell if they're females or males?
It's by the pouch. If they have a pouch, it's going to be a girl. If there's no pouch, that one's a boy. Good question. Yes.
Do you recommend if we see a possum that appears to be dead on the side of the road that we check the pouch?
So, my recommendation is try not to touch at first because one fun thing about possums is you may have heard they play dead. They do not choose to do this. There's this kind of idea that they go, oh, a predator, I will look at it and I will play dead for fun. That is actually a stress response. Their body, once there's enough, high enough stress level, passes out, which works for, not being eaten, but it's a very high stress response. So there is a chance that it is still alive. If it's not, it's one of those where I'm not going to necessarily recommend to you to check the pouch because we don't know necessarily if that animal does have some other disease or if it was hurt in a way where there's, someone who might still have teeth in there. So I'm not going to ask you to put yourself in a position of danger. But if you do spy an opossum who is little out on its own, if you see something that you're not sure about, please feel free to call your local wildlife rehabilitator. The Michigan DNR has a wonderful list by county of who is available, their phone numbers and everything. And if you're ever not certain, you can always call us at Outdoor Discovery Center and we will get you connected with a rehabilitator because they have a lot of great information on what exactly to do in different scenarios, if there is something you can do at home, or if the animal might actually be okay, but it's just using their very nice wiles to try to make you think that you should stay away from them, or that they might be hurt over here. We have a lot of very fun tales of birds like killdeer who pretend to be hurt to get you away from their nest, confusing a lot of people. And a lot of rehabbers trying very hard to tell people, no, it's okay. I promise the wing is not broken. No, I know. Yes, my friend.
I think possums are really cute.
I think they're really cute too. A lot of people seem to think that they're not adorable, but how can you say no to that face? She is very clean. She's probably going to do this when she gets back for quite some time because we did get caught in the rain on the way here, so she was a little bit damp. Now, if you are ever out visiting her, she has an enclosure with a lot of places to climb. If you don't see her right away, one, check her little box because she does like to take naps in there, and look up because she's very good at climbing. And in fact, when I went in first thing this morning, she was right above my head. So always check because they like to go all about. Now, do we have any questions about our friend opossum? Now, I wanted to say, one, a huge thank you to all of you for all of your kindness and your wonderful questions about our animals. It always makes me so happy when folks want to know about our neighbors here and give such kindness to them. If there is an animal that you want to come up and see a little bit closer in a moment here, I might give Cooper's a quick break because he was doing all right, but I want to make sure he's still feeling good. Then you are more than welcome in a moment to come and see. I do recommend we don't put our fingers into opossum. She is hungry, and also she doesn't like to get pet. But if you have questions or things like that, I may not have every answer right away. I learn more every day, and that's why I love these great questions, because it means I get to go back and I get to learn something new today. I get to observe something. I get to look into the research about it, and that just makes my day. So if you have a question, one, I hope I can answer it, and two, if I can't, fantastic. You've stumped the naturalist. That means I get to go learn something new, and I appreciate that. Thank you all so much for coming out, for learning about these friends, and for doing what you can to help our wonderful Michigan animal neighbors. Thank you all so much.